All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today. Going to take a look at its, high intent Google searches that boudoir buyers are searching. See if it has BSS and see if we're meeting the GBC recommended minimum of hitting 3 out of 10 page one Google slots. All right, so we're out here in the GBC universe again, where we bring declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, aka full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pinned video, home video on the profile, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our intent spectrum here, in white, high on the left, low on the right. And if a boudoir photographer is rising, they're probably bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, from high intent to low or no intent. At least bringing them in awareness, even if they're low or no intent, awareness that we exist. And if we have a boudoir photographer business that's falling, they're probably missing chunks somewhere here on the intent spectrum. So here we talk about BSS. We're way over on the left side. Highest intent peeps. This is social search and Google search. Search on social networks for boudoir photo shoot in my city. See on Google search, the highest intent keyword searches. And over on the right, that's our other sister brand, different profiles, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. So we're talking about BLCS. Talking about BLCS, kind of a niche problem there, niche pain. And right now, we currently only deal with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month on boudoir Facebook ads. And that side on the right, that's the lowest intent peeps. Interruption ads, Facebook, Instagram. They have no intent for boudoir right now. Next, moving on, we got BSS, boudoir search sameness. That's what it is. That means a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. If we got 0 slots, we're basically dead, because we have, we've already talked about approximately 80% of Google searches never reach page 2. They're page 1 only searches. So approximately 80% of searches, aka the bulk of the market, is page 1 only. So if we're on page 2, we're basically dead. Page 1, that's if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's still not enough. If there's 9, there's 10 organic slots. If there's 1, we're 1 out of. If there's 9 other boudoir photographers, everyone else got 1 slot. Then a buyer's just clicking down all of page 1. Basically never gonna go to page 2. Open up everyone's website, gonna compare, contrast, price shop all these boudoir photographers. And as a result, we're still basically invisible because we're being price shopped so much. So we know that 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Common, but it's not normal. Dude, it's not normal to have those few slots on page 1 when Google actually wants to give us way more to those that want to take them. So 0 1 slots on page 1 Google is not normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation, which basically everyone understands, but also newly, the false belief of page 1 equality, which basically nobody understands yet. So market saturation, that seems like every week someone get a new iPhone, and we see them throwing up their Google My Business profile, their website. Now they say they do boudoir, they're a boudoir photographer. Or they get a new camera, they're posting in the mom groups. They also do boudoir photo shoots now. So that's market saturation. Also, COVID, tons of new peeps came into the marketplace because nobody could work. People lost their jobs. But again, everyone's got a phone with a great camera, so bringing in a ton more peeps to become boudoir photographers. Now, the false belief of page 1 equality, this is a big one. This is what I've seen is the number 1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. This is where everyone, well, if everyone believes it, kind of automatically, implicitly, this is where, they're kind of like, everyone gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And so, I had, a slot number 8 on Google. The boudoir photographer ranked above me. I got kicked down to slot 10. And, it is what it is because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on Google. And there's basically nothing I can do about it. This is 100% incorrect. Google actually will give as many page 1 slots as possible to those who actually want the page 1 slots. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 Google organic search in 10 days. So I know Google gives these slots out to the people that want to take them. And as a result, if people believe this page 1 equality is true, then they never kind of break out of the box and look for solutions And, well, there were no real good solutions before, but now we got one, which you'll see that in two pictures from here. So we also know that boudoir photographer with BSS, with boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So a micro-universe stick and shape, a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the two horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, though, we finally have a solution. We know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And how do we know that? Because we invented it. And so it works exactly as it says. S-cubed methodology, social search saturation. We saturate social search with our highest intent, highest demand keywords for highest intent buyers, what they would be searching on Google. To saturate social search, so we show up for all those. It's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains, all the small streams and rivers, then flow into the large Amazon River. These then eventually all flow into Google, page one Google search. But the initial upstream is ranking high, page one social search across all the four major social networks. Now, S-cubed methodology, this is the only thing that I've seen that can successfully, for boudoir photographers, it's the only thing I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Literally the only thing. And as a result, we, basically as a result, that's the only thing that gets us results relatively quickly, because the only other thing I've seen actually successfully outcompete is market saturation having a brand, but dude, that takes like 5 years minimum, more like 10 years. So because AI's coming taking people's jobs, we ain't got 5 or 10 years anymore. We got to move ASAP, 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 and S-cubed methodology is that vehicle. So, imagine we got 1 million boudoir photographers in Omaha, Nebraska. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they're boudoir photographers. So everyone's ranking there. And as a result, we are competing with all these boudoir photographers for page one. So we say, you know what? Screw this. The only chance we got of competing here is cranking S-cubed methodology up to the max. And luckily, I was working with no one else in Omaha, so you could actually hire me. So we crank it up to the max, and let's say we are successfully, we're ranking the first 300 slots, page one of, search and all these social networks. Well, not even page one, dude. That's like a lot more pages than page one, but the first 300 slots, we're taking them up. And as a result, we are, there's a small rivers that flow into page one in Google. So we're taking the first 300 organic slots on Google as well. And there's 10 organic slots per page. So we're literally taking the first 30 pages, all the organic slots from them. And so anytime anyone in our city search for the wall photographer with those high intent keywords, they are basically anywhere they look. They're basically only finding us. Now, for organic search, they could go to page 31 to essentially start finding our competitors. But dude, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 search only. So who the heck's hitting page 31? Basically nobody. So as a result, even though there are 999,999 other boudoir photographers and us competing against us, since we captured social search and Google search for the highest intent keywords, we're basically the only one that's being found. So whose business is the only one growing as a result? Our business. Out of all million boudoir photographers. So that's what we mean what I mean when I say this is the only thing I've discovered other than brand that can successfully compete against market saturation. Compete against and still grow the business. Now, once we treat BSS with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. And boom, we get an instant bonus benefit, an initial benefit, which is for every new slot we acquire on page one, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible. So this is awesome because, hey, we're getting more slots on page one. We get, more of, out of 10 attention because there's 10 slots, increasing our attention. But actually, we're decreasing the number of boudoir photographers we're competing against because we're kicking a new one off every time we rank another, we get another slot on there. That's an initial benefit initially right off the bat using S-cubed methodology. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. BSV. We have a GBC minimum here, recommended minimum of reaching 3 out of 10 slots on page one Google search, because basically everyone else will have 1 slot. So if Google's recommended us 3 times, well, buyers can be like, well, what the hell? Why does Google recommend this person? They must be good. They may even click to us, only us, and not even look at the other options on page one. But in addition, there's a tiny chance another boudoir photographer has 2 slots on page one. So if we got 3 slots, we're out competing everyone that has 0, 1, or 2 slots on page one of Google search. Now we also know that boudoir photographer with BSV, with boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So we got our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Now we use S-cubed methodology. We finally have a solution. Thank the universe. Page one visibility. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Now my results. So myself, purely using S-cubed methodology, I'm going to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. And come down to organic. Organic results, we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Organic slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10 is also me. And I did this in 10 days. I went from 0 out of 10 slots, Google Organic, page 1. And I got up to 9 out of 10 slots, Google Organic, page 1, in only 10 days. So these are my own results utilizing S-cubed methodology. Now onto the main event here. Going to see this boudoir photography business, see how the search is looking for their local and city search. Actually, they're both in this case. See if we got BSS, yes or no. See if we're in the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots page one on Google, or let's hit it, Bellingham, Washington. All right, so let's see what we got. Let's see. All right, so we do got one. Boom, we got one. All right, we got one. So we got 1 out of 10. And city's always the hardest one to rank for. So we got 1 out of 10, that's good. But we got BSS, we got boudoir search sameness. We also got, we're not hitting the GBC recommended amount of 3 out of 10 page one slots on Google. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done the local search for yourself for the highest intent buyer keywords and the highest intent, and you've done the city search for yourself for the highest intent buyer keywords. And you have BSS for one or both of them, and/or you have not met the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page one Google slots for one or both of them. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, people get new gear. Okay, more boudoir photographers always over time. It's always increasing. And you want to kick out those current competitors. And you're seeing S-cubed methodology is the only path to successfully do that. But you're also thinking ahead of, man, AI is taking more and more people's jobs, it seems, every day. So if AI is taking more and more people's jobs every day, then there's probably going to be more and more. It's going to be like the third prong of things that's pushing more boudoir photographers. And it's not just new iPhone or new camera. It's now losing jobs due to AI. So you see, okay, more and more boudoir photographers going to be entering the market. We actually want to increase the kind of pre-fortify our position before this monster tsunami or kind of this increasing wave of new boudoir photographers enters the market, competing with us for page one. Want to pre-fortify our positions and expectations. That kind of like the levees in New Orleans. I think it's like the built-up sandbag things to keep the ocean at bay because the city is below sea level. And we actually want to decide you want to pre-fortify your position, to also pre-fortify your position on Google page one to all the new boudoir photographers that will eventually be coming in because more and more people lose their job to AI. And you're also seeing, hey, S-cubed methodology is the only path for that. You've accepted that page one equality is a false belief, and Google will actually give us as many slots on page one as we want to put in the effort to take. So you've accepted the false belief of page one inequality is false. So you want to use S-cubed methodology, you see as the only solution, and you want the page one visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you know you need this on your way to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also want the two hidden back-end benefits of successfully executing SQ'd methodology every single day, which is kind of the more we execute it, the keywords that we use that we're starting to rank for, show up social search for, saturate that, show up Google page 1 for. It's basically building thematic keyword columns attached to our entire internet brand, our social accounts, our website, out there in the minds of AI. So every single day we successfully SQ'd methodology, we actually increase the probability that AI overview here recommends us, and Google still is about 90% of search, slowly decreasing every day though. So higher chance we get the the premium placement slot here, AI overview, because it's pulling from, our frequency, our density, our authority, our age of these different thematic keyword columns that SQ allows us to tackle. So increase in probability of being shown up here and increase in probability of being showing up for all the AI search apps, ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, and we got Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search. So kind of all this hidden back-end AI brain momentum every single day. It's kind of building up momentum every single day we execute methodology. And you're seeing, since my plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, that you decide you want to hop on this first, be a first mover, because every single day we execute methodology correctly. We're getting the initial benefits, the quick future benefits, and the longer term momentum AI brain recommendation benefits, building up the momentum, and you're putting massive gap between you and all the current competitors, and definitely all the ones that have not entered yet, but we know they will because AI will be taking a bunch of people's jobs. And so you want all that, and you also see if some other boudoir photographer in your same city were to work with me instead, that you would actually have to figure out SQ'd methodology on your own, and you would never actually know if you've rederived it correctly. And then you'd have to go equal our execution every single day, execute an SQ'd methodology, which you'd have to equal our effort and you'd have to be confident in it, which you would not have 100% confidence because you would not know if you've even derived SQ'd methodology correctly in the first place. And to do all that effort, you would simply be maintaining the gap me and your competitor have already built up against you. To actually close the gap, you'd have to double or triple outwork us every single day to close that gap. Basically kind of steal back that thematic keyword column momentum attached to your competitor's brand in the AI brain, the AI search brain, for all these AI apps, and pull it back to your brand. And so you decide, okay, screw that. I'd rather just be the first mover and not be dealing with the laggard position of not being, the #1 boudoir photographer in my city, because I know a ton of boudoir photographers going to be entering because of AI taking Peep's job. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. When I open my DMs for new patient intake, the hospital is currently closed. We're not currently taking in any new patients. But when I do open the hospital for new patient intake, shoot me a DM and we'll see if you qualify for using SQ'd methodology.